Are you a philosopher?
No, no, I'm a teacher.
Hi there, intentional teachers. Let's have a real talk today about quality. Not test scores, not checklists. I'm talking about that deep, meaningful, can't fake it kind of quality that comes when a teacher is intentional about everything they do. See, there's this thing in business called the cost of quality. It's the idea that doing things the right way takes effort, but not doing them right can cost even more. I'm thinking, how does this relate to teaching? We're not having an economics class, are we? But hear me out. We're constantly balancing our time, energy, and emotions between doing it right and just surviving. Let me tell you, I've done both. There were years I was so burnt out that quality meant I remembered to brush my teeth after drinking coffee and talking to before I talked to my students. But as I grew as an educator, I realized when I'm intentional about why and how I teach, my classroom runs smoother, my students thrive, and I feel lighter. That's the cost of quality. It's not about perfection, it's about investment. So today we're going to talk about why this idea matters in teaching. Remember, we always begin with the why. What the four costs of quality look like in education and how you can implement them to teach with purpose and peace without burnout and busyness. Oh, and we'll keep it honest and I'll try to be funny to keep you entertained because we have to have a little bit of laughter when we talk about education too. Else we'll just be crying in our grading piles, wouldn't we? So let's begin. We are living in a time when teachers are expected to be perfect, but we're given conditions that are anything but perfect. We're asked to personalize instruction, manage behaviors, integrate technology, collect data, call parents, run after school programs, and then smile for a morale boosting photo. Can you imagine saying cheese and ignoring the fact that your copier is broke and you haven't went to the bathroom since 8:15 a.m.? Here's the hard truth. We cannot keep pouring from an empty cup and still call that quality. That's why this conversation matters. The cost of quality model helps us see where our energy is going and where it's leaking. It gives us a language to say, this is worth the cost, or I'm paying too much for a little return. Quality teaching requires boundaries, reflection, and a clear why. Because when your why is clear, your how becomes sustainable. So let's do our first journal reflection. Remember, we're reflection practitioners. Guys, every single workshop, I get tongue tied with a word. So we are reflection practitioners, okay? And this is the first journal. Ask yourself, where do I feel like I'm giving a lot in teaching, but not getting results that reflect my effort? What part of my teaching feels the most aligned with my purpose right now? Remember, you can get the journal down in the description link below. And if you really want a full step by step of how to do this, then of course, as always, you can purchase the book, The Intentional Teacher's Workshop, A Reflective Guide. And that will give you the step by step that you would need to really put all of this, of what we're going through in our workshops, into place. Okay, now let's break it down. In business, cost of quality is divided into four parts: prevention costs, appraisal costs, internal failure costs, and external failure costs. The goal is to spend more upfront on prevention and appraisal, so you spend less later on fixing failures. Okay, so remember the goal. This is our keeping the end in mind. Okay, the goal is to spend more upfront on prevention and appraisal. Okay, in education, we can think of these as Prevention equals preparation. That could be the planning, training that we get, and the self care. Appraisal equals reflection. That's checking for understanding, monitoring impact. Okay, data with exit tickets. Internal failure is the correction, fixing what's not working before it grows and reaches outside of the classroom. External failure equals our reputation, how our classroom and practice are perceived externally by parents, admin, data, community. It can also be that failure to close in the gap of our students. Okay. When we balance these costs intentionally, our teaching becomes more joyful and effective, not because we're working harder, but because we're working wiser. Think of it this way. You can either spend 30 minutes setting up your class systems or spend 180 days saying, stop talking, please, sit down in your chairs. You know what you were supposed to do. Wasn't that supposed to be turned in last night? That's the cost of quality.